Observe our history, and you hit a strange contradiction. On one hand, humans are capable of breathtaking acts of love and cooperation. On the other, we routinely inflict catastrophic cruelty on each other and our planet. This is the human condition. Evolutionary biology has mapped out our physical origins with remarkable detail. We have a clear picture of how our bodies developed and adapted over millions of years. Charles Darwin provided the foundation for this. His concept of natural selection explained how physical life forms survive and change through the generations. But when it comes to explaining our psychological nature, why we behave the way we do, science has historically hit a wall. Some of our most insightful thinkers struggled to explain our darker impulses. Sir Isaac Newton, the man who codified the laws of gravity, admitted to this deficiency. He noted that while he could calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, the madness of people remained beyond his grasp. This lack of a biological explanation for human behavior left us without a factual way to understand our own contradictory nature. To manage that uncertainty, we adopted a popular myth. We told ourselves that human evil stems from leftover savage, competitive animal instincts. But this ignores a basic biological reality. Animals are driven by survival and reproduction. They do not exhibit the calculated malice, systemic corruption, or cruelty that is unique to humans. Biologist Jeremy Griffith offers a different premise. He argues that humans are not an inherently bad or flawed species. According to Griffith, our destructive behavior is the result of a profound biological misunderstanding of how our own brains operate. Addressing the human condition requires diagnosing an evolutionary neurological friction between two separate systems in our minds. Our original operating system is a network of instincts. Early in evolution, this provided an innate moral equilibrium, a biological compass directing us towards cooperative behavior. Later, a second system emerged, the conscious intellect. This active force attempted to function within the existing setup. To understand cause and effect, the conscious intellect must actively experiment, test its environment, and make autonomous decisions. A biological collision was inevitable. The conscious mind's need to experiment directly contradicted the rigid, unthinking programming of our genetic instincts. Human madness represents the mechanical friction of two distinct biological operating systems trying to steer the same organism. When the intellect began defying our cooperative instincts, it triggered a psychological reaction. Early humans developed a deep internal sense of being corrupted or bad. Griffith identifies this as the great guilt, an underlying trauma caused by the evolutionary clash between our instincts and our intellect. This guilt triggers defensive reactions. Our anger, ego, and drive to compete are subconscious attempts to prove our worth against that internal feeling of failure. Because this guilt is so painful, our minds often instinctively block out discussions about it. This phenomenon, known as the deaf effect, makes it difficult to even hear explanations of our corrupted condition. Viewed this way, human conflict and societal division are essentially defense mechanisms shielding us from the unbearable subconscious guilt of our evolutionary clash. This biological explanation reframes the clash as a necessary step for a conscious species. The intellect had to challenge instinct in order to achieve logic and self-understanding. Without that defiance, humans could never have achieved free will. Understanding the biological logic behind this struggle offers a factual defense for our species. It provides the first step toward lifting the internal burden of the great guilt. As this explanation settles, the subconscious need for defensive anger or competitive validation begins to subside, as the internal sense of personal corruption is addressed by science. Objective biological science provides the actual mechanism for psychological rehabilitation. Addressing this root psychological trauma has consequences for society as a whole. When the internal insecurity that drives human behavior is removed, the psychological basis for prejudices like racism begins to dissolve. Political polarization follows a similar path. Understanding the universal instinct-intellect conflict allows us to see the common struggle behind all human behavior. Tens of thousands of public responses from around the globe describe a profound sense of relief as people finally find a scientific explanation for why we are the way we are. Rehabilitating our psychology by understanding our biology offers a factual path towards saving the human race from terminal dysfunction. By resolving the internal war of the human condition, humanity finally possesses the practical tools to rebuild its world.